everyone. I'm so excited.
You look pretty. I love the shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. I love this brand. It's called Matte brand.
Hello.
Hi, Teresa. Hey. I'm so excited. Week 6 was so good. Week 6 was so good. We really about to get into it. I'm gonna wait a few more minutes. Hi, girl. Yes, let's get the tunes going. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This is what I've been in the mood for all day. So I'm gonna share the vibes. This is the bag I've been in. I went rollerblading today. Got my life. Oh, it's sunny where somebody's at. And
Oh, that's me.
oh, what?
It's what is it? 9 a.m. 9:06 a.m.
Where are you?
Tokyo.
Oh, we got Tokyo in the building.
Yeah, I only have like 30 minutes. My work, actually, I took 1 hour. I messed up the whole time. The time difference is crazy. So I'm only in for 30 minutes before I start teaching.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm walking to work right now, being intentional.
Yes, it's the intention for me.
Yeah, and it's sunny. I'm getting this vitamin D.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't have to walk to work. I could have taken the train, but
we're being intentional.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Intentional Book Club. We're doing the Artist Way Book Club. I am Ariel Simone. Thank you guys for coming. This is just so amazing. Like every single week, I'm just like, oh my God, this is so great. And I'm glad that I found a tribe that fucks with it. And I'm just so grateful. So yes, week 6 was insane. But before we jump into week 6 or anything, we're gonna focus on last week. How were our morning pages and how was our artist dates? Were they good? Were they like yank?
Oh my God, I had a breakthrough.
Yeah, tell us about it. Like, how was your artist date?
Okay, so I've had this sketch in my sketchbook for 2 years, and like I have so many sketches, and I never put them on watercolor paper. And on my artist date, I was like putting on tunes, listening to like my 90s idols, like female bands, and singing karaoke to them in my room. And then I started tracing it onto watercolor paper.
Mm-hmm.
And the censor inside me kept being like, oh, it's not going to look like the sketch. It's not going to look like the original sketch. And then in my mind, I thought, like back to, I think it was chapter 1 or the beginning of the book. I was like, you know what also isn't going to look like the original sketch? A blank piece of watercolor paper.
Yeah. And
so I was like, yeah.
And what I made is what I made.
Yeah. Like,
and that's
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like thinking about that inner child, you know? You wouldn't like shit talk your child.
Right.
Like, oh, that doesn't look like that. Like, I guess just coming back and nurturing that.
Absolutely, yeah. We talk about that often. How was everyone else's artist day? Let's talk. Tell me about your artist day and also tell me about the morning pages. Like, were we good or were we not good?
Can I go?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my morning pages, I finally missed one. I was doing so well, but I messed up. Like it was like I think the weekend, and I missed one. And I was like the whole day, I was like, oh, I should probably do these now. Oh no, I'll just wait till tomorrow. But I don't know. I feel like I could have probably ended up doing it later in the day. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I still did them today and like the following days. So I'm pretty proud of myself for like not just completely giving up on that. But as for my artist dates, so I haven't really been intentional in planning those. I just kind of do something creative on the weekend. I'm like, oh, I guess this can count as an artist date. Like I didn't plan on, you know, like I didn't really mark out the time. So I usually play like The Sims. I don't know if anybody else plays The Sims a lot, but
oh wow,
I like to take like photos and stuff and like do a lot of photo editing on Photoshop. And so I was playing around in Blender this weekend and like creating a photo in there, and I guess that counted. Like, I don't know, it's hard for me sometimes. I get on myself, I'm like, oh, that's not a real artist date, or oh, that's not a real, you know, thing. So I'm trying to get away from that and just accept, you know, if I'm spending time on something that's creative, then that should count, you know, and stop being so hard on myself when it comes to those things.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. I just ask myself, like, is it creative and is it bringing me joy? Do I like it? And that's it. That's it. That's where, and I just let it go from there and just kind of see what it about. Like, we don't have to be like, oh my God, let's paint, or oh my God, let's draw. Like, it's what feels good and brings us joy.
Right.
But also allows us to be creative and playful. How is everyone else's artist date morning pages? Like, are we consistent? Are we not? Ba-da-da-da-da. What are we doing?
I started a job recently, so trying to adjust to that schedule, yeah, it is tough getting these morning pages in. But if I didn't write the full thing, I would take it to work with me, and on my first morning break, I would finish. Just because, like, I know it's supposed to be like when you first wake up, but I was trying to, well, at least I did them. Like, at least I completed them. So if I started when I was supposed to, I may not have finished it all the way when I was supposed to, but I still finished. And that was just like, I was just trying not to beat myself up for not doing it every time right when I woke up. As long as I got it done that day, then I was happy.
Yeah, I feel that. I like that we're just giving ourselves grace. Like, okay, the world is still spinning if we don't do our morning pages. How do I feel? Everything's fine. Right. Someone said, do you guys do the task and read the chapter? Do you read the chapter all in one day? So I read the chapter all in one day, and then I run it back again the day before on Mondays, because I just want to be prepared for the book club. But I just read it like sometime within the week. I noticed for me, each chapter is like 4 or 5 pages. It takes tops 20-30 minutes. Do you guys feel like that? Like, does the reading take a long time? Are you guys like struggling throughout the chapters, or it's kind of like easy breezy?
It's kind of breezy. I go through it like a shot. Like, whoa, like it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Like I can't stop. It just keeps rolling once I get into reading it, and everything just keeps clicking. So you're like, okay, I can't stop now. This is such a good thing.
Yeah. It's such a great read. It feels so good. So I just said Asia or Aja. Please definitely correct me if I'm bugging.
It's Asia.
Oh, hi. Oh, Asia, what's good?
Hey. I'm here. I'm just eating my little salad, you know.
Okay, we
trying to be intentional.
I love it. Intentional reads, intentional eats. Like,
that's it.
Yeah. You just said that you be pausing in the middle, right? Because her content hits. It hits this particular chapter 6, had me like,
I sit here and like have to give a whole sermon to myself in the middle, like, well, you know, when you really think about it, and then I just go on a tangent for a good 15 minutes, and then I come back to the sentence, read it again, and then I'm like, wait, but really, you know what you should be doing with your life is the fact that, and I just go off again. That's really what these chapters do for me. I have so much fun with it.
That is so true. Sometimes I gotta stop and like write it and then tweet about it and then talk about it. I gotta call my mother. I'd be like, yeah, the book. I was like, the book said that my life is my life. I just be like, the book will have
get stuck on stupid.
You just need a moment, and sometimes I need to talk to other people
for one sentence.
Yeah, just from one sentence. Like, it could be 4 or 5 words in a sentence, and it's just a bar, and then I have to just pause and journal. Do you guys tend to do that? Like, if you don't hit up somebody or talk to somebody else about it, that you just like, wait, this is a great moment to journal. Like, what do I really think about this? How do I really feel about this?
Yes.
Yeah. Someone say, yeah, they gotta go back. Yeah, go back, because this chapter was so amazing. So yes, let's get into this chapter.
Yeah.
Unless somebody wants to talk about their artist day at all. Like if you want to bring it up, we can also bring it to the chat. Because I just really,
we need ideas.
Yeah, we definitely need ideas, especially during quarantine. And then but this particular chapter, if you are struggling with your artist day, I really feel like it let us know that the artist day is in the little things. It's in the little things. It's carving out 15 minutes to just be present. She also talks about that in the chapter. I was just like, wow, the artist date doesn't have to be no esoteric, crazy ass date. Like, it can literally be us paying attention to what's going on, us putting our phone down, us silencing and like remaining in solitude, us just like finding new ways to create in a short amount of time, or just starting something, whether we finish it or not. So I really felt like this chapter was, woo! Yeah, okay.
Yeah, eating with intention.
Yes, that was amazing. That's amazing. I really love that, Tamia. Okay. So let's jump into chapter 6, because this chapter was real, real powerful. So this was all about, and we said it last week too, because last week was a sense of possibility, and then this week was recovering a sense of abundance. I remember saying at the end, like, the next week will be crazy, because she's talking about abundance, she's talking about rich, she's talking about luxury, and this was just a luxurious chapter. So one thing, like the first thing that immediately stood out to me in chapter 6 is it's right after the first page, where she talks about, I'm gonna mute you real, wait, I gotta mute, I'm sorry y'all, but sometimes the noise. Okay, so right after the first page in chapter 6, she talks about on 106, I don't know if everybody has this version. Well, mine is falling apart. I don't know if everybody has this version, but on 106, right up the first page, she says, she's talking about the role that God plays in our creativity, and that most of us harbor a secret belief that work has to be work and not play, and that anything that we really want to do, like write, act, or dance, must be considered frivolous or be placed a distant second. But this is not true. We are operating, she says, we are operating out of the toxic old idea that God's will for us and our will for us at opposite ends. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Ooh, I can't mess this bar up. I'm sorry. I gotta repeat this. Okay, because when I read it, I was like, woo! All right. So she says, we are operating out of the toxic old idea that God's will for us and our will for us are at opposite ends of the table. I want to be an actress, but God wants me to wait tables in harsh joints, the scenario goes. So if I want to be an actress, I will end up slinging hash. So the way I took this as was, what I want for myself and what I see for myself is the same thing that God wants for me and sees for me as well. Like, yes, I need to work hard, I need to work smart, but I don't need to feel like I'm alone in this. I also don't need to feel like it's against me. Like the things that I want out of life is against me. It's unattainable. It may feel like everything that I want is in a lineup for me. Like, thank you, because this is what I want. Thank you. That's how I felt out of everything. How did you guys feel when she said that? That our will and God's will is the same thing?
So I watched a YouTube video of a speech from her.
Julia
and she
Cameron?
said, yeah. And she said something about how she grew up Catholic, and so she didn't really want to believe in God or put a name to God. But then she was like, what about a creative energy? I can believe in that. So that struck more with me. So I was like, oh, if the world is about creative energy and like it's actually, there's a different like God for everything, then like the flowers don't think, oh, I can't bloom today. Like they're not worried about what other people are thinking. They're not like, they're like, oh, I have to bloom. Like, oh, like the world needs me to bloom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Like,
she does later bring that up too. She brings that up about like how there's no snowflake that's the same, how like there's no cap to our abundance and our creativity. There's no cap to that. So I thought that part was really powerful too. That's a little bit later in the chapter. I really wanted to know how you guys felt when they said like God's alignment and like what we want from God and what we want out of life is the same thing, that nobody's fighting against us. How did you guys kind of feel about that?
yeah, we're the only one fighting against ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's true. I thought it was powerful. It was like empowering to know, because I grew up, I went to like a middle grade school, like K-8 Catholic school kind of thing. So I feel like when you're taught about God, it's always like, God is this, and kind of like a vocabulary lesson. It's not really virtues and how you see God is how you act. So I like how every time she brings up God, it's like, yeah, she said this example. She was like, if you want to buy something that's a little extravagant, okay, it's extravagant, but so is my God. And I was like, I like that.
I love that.
Yeah, so I feel like when you're taught about God, it's a little different. And then when you have to create your own personal views about God, it may feel a little awkward because you're like, well, this goes against what I was taught, but it's just whatever you believe. So that extravagance thing helped a lot, because I'm like, if I want it, God wants it for me 2 times 10. And I'm like,
right. And I first found this book in like 2016. It was, no, maybe even before that. And I remember my first time reading it, I was a little uncomfortable at how often she brought up God. And I was very unsure about where I was in life and things like that. And I was just like, oh, I don't know, like this book might be a bit religious. I don't know if I'm very religious. So I was like, maybe I can't really read this, but like now that I've matured and I've kind of had a deeper understanding as to what my definition of God is, I'm a little bit more comfortable with seeing this so frequently in there. And the way she does explain it, and she explains it like she calls it the great, them, he, she, the great creator, the higher force, the higher creativity, the higher moral purpose, like our higher, she refers to it as higher often, but she never makes it seem like we're disconnected from it, that like we are the source, like everything we want, it's within us already. So that had me feeling like a lot more like better and like be able to digest this a little bit more. And it just had me feeling like everything I want will happen. And that's that.
I thought that it was a really nice tie back to what was said in the first chapter, when the first chapter just talked about like, or week 1 talked about a sense of safety. And I think that like the way that it's naturally progressed has been really great, because it's like connecting, as we're saying, like this idea of God to our sense of safety. And then, you know, she brings up even like the parental idea, which we discussed a little bit last week. And like we have this very strict, you know, idea of God, when it's like God is more than our human ideas of a parent. Not to mention like God is here to give, to be a resource. God is omniscient, you know, like God's not here to punish us for being wrong about our creativity or being wrong when we try to be creative. And that, I thought that was really powerful. As I said, like it reminded me of what was talked about in week 1 with like building a sense of safety. And like in the exercises, she had us like, you know, basically talk about all the reasons that were preventing you from seeing yourself as a creative or from doing creative things. So like, I don't know, I feel like I haven't read week 1 yet. Like, I feel like definitely revisit that, because I think that really resonated for me, and building on what everybody else has said too about God being sensible. Like God's not here to be sensible, and creativity isn't sensible. And when we restrict ourselves or treat God like an Old Testament, you know, type God, like we're forgetting the reason that the New Testament exists, you know, for those people who study like the Bible. Like it's to show this other side, and it's to show this other half of, right, you know, journey, if we're going to take it to a religious place, right? So it's like God again is not just here to just punish, like no. I don't know. And I really like the line in the creator section. I love the line, tangled lives smooth out. I underlined that so many times. And I felt that so deeply.
What does that mean?
For me?
Yeah, or just like what did you take it as? Like,
so when she said, I'm on page 107 if anybody has the book, she said, expecting divine, like when people expect divine help, they tend to receive it. Tangled lives smooth out, tangled relationships gain sanity and sweetness. And I think that for me, like I'm just kind of coming out of a job that I thought for me was toxic. And just, you know, had a relationship with a supervisor that was very toxic. And now I'm kind of on the other end of that smoothing out. And I'm not gonna lie, like 2.5 years ago, I just remember thinking like, I don't know where the end of this is. I don't know why I am here. I don't like this, that, and the other. And I don't know. I just feel like just to have that example, like I said, of myself now, like I see that smoothing out, like I'm not out of my job, but that situation did resolve itself. And there are things that I learned from it that I do think have validated my creativity and are going to add to my, you know, the creative things that I want to do and the experiences, right? Because I feel like creativity is all about experience, and that's why so many people resonate with creative things. So when I have more experience, that can enable me to better relate to people.
Right. Yeah.
I it's very interesting our conversation about this chapter, because like I don't know if anyone saw my message on the group chat right before we came on, because reading this chapter made me feel very uncomfortable. And it's interesting what you talked about when you said when you wanted to read this book like about a year ago, the mention of God made you feel uncomfortable because you felt it was kind of religious, and it was difficult for me to absorb the message she was trying to pass across because of my experience around the name God and everything attached to it. So I don't think I personally was able to absorb all I needed to, because every single sentence there was God in it, and I just felt I think I know where you're coming from, but because of my experiences that I am still working out, like with my family, with everybody around me, because coming from a very religious place and how God is defined and how that is very fixed. And, you know, this whole idea, the name itself makes me uncomfortable, and it's difficult for me to attach anything new to it or to subtract anything from it, because like I feel like it's not mine, it's not my word, it's for someone else. Like this word God is not for me to use how I want to use it, because I feel like if I use it that way, I feel like I'm not creating something for myself. I feel like I'm trying to fit into a box because it's not mine, you know. So yeah, I know that is not the general experience, and I really like how everybody is explaining how this chapter was digestible for them. But it was really hard for me. It was really hard for me to get through this chapter. Like I swear to God, I haven't finished it. I just finished the part about God, and I was just entering into the part about luxury, but it was really, really hard. And I know, you know, we want to get into the space of like, okay, creator, or like a creative energy, or like source, or like the universe. But you know, it's kind of difficult because I feel like when we talk about God or any of these concepts, we might not talk about exactly the same thing. So I don't know where to understand it from, because I don't want to understand it in a way and I don't understand exactly what someone else is trying to say. So,
yeah, that's real. That's totally real, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I kind of thought I was the only one when I read the book a while ago. I was like, no, she's using a lot of God. A lot of that in there, but now I'm a lot more comfortable with it. But I can totally understand that if you have like other tied relations or connotations to the word, how that can be like a little like not only triggering but just like not pleasant to read through, not pleasant. She does mention it often. It kind of slows down a bit after the luxury part. But I think what's so amazing about this particular book is that she gives us the grace and the freedom to kind of define it the way we want. And she even offers like us to practice discernment when it comes down to this book, like things that apply to us and things that don't, how we can like change the word and like kind of think of what it means to just us. Because right in it, she immediately asks us like to kind of like low-key define what our God is like. When she says, this week in your morning pages, write about the God that you do believe in and the God you would like to believe in. So that's interesting too. Like when we start thinking about the God we believe in or the God we're supposed to believe in, cool, let's think about that God. But then let's also think about the God we would want to believe in, like our own idea of it, like how our own idea of the higher source, our own idea of like the magnetic universal law or forces that work in our favor. So I kind of think that that's where she was like going with it, that when we show up, blessings, opportunities, money, relationships, conversations, everything kind of shows up for us. That's kind of what I got from it. How did anybody else feel about that part?
So I definitely can relate to like what y'all were saying prior, because when I was younger, like I went to church with my mom every now and then and stuff, but I just never really stamped myself as religious. Like I always knew if there was like maybe a greater being or a greater force around. But as I like really delved into like more of my spirituality and really trying to like build my spirituality, and this is just like my views, I really realized that like God is really all of us. Like God is in us. Like we, just like you said, like once you show up, once you start doing things, the energy, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is drawn to you. It's almost like as if it's a magnet, because energy cannot be destroyed. It is just transferred or, you know, transformed and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So seeing it also from that side helped me a lot more. So I was like more prepared to see like God all throughout the book, because I'm also realizing that that's really me. Like I'm like, not to sound like head ass, but like I'm God. Like I'm, if that makes sense. I don't even know if that makes sense.
It does.
Definitely feel you too.
I like it.
I definitely feel you too. I feel you, and sometimes people think I'm ridiculous, but I feel like that too. I feel like I don't think I'm God. Absolutely not. I'm not God. But I feel like there is a God in me, like a mini God in me that just comes through and lets me know like this is gonna be all right. That comes through and lets me know like this is your superpower. You can get this. You can do that. You can say this. You can be yourself. You can create. Like that feels like that to me. I sometimes feel like when I'm praying and I'm connecting with source, it is me.
Yep.
No, I can't call it, but I can't call it, you know, but I just believe that we believe in what we believe in, and like you move forward with it, because she even brings it up too in the book. I just want to quickly bring this up. She says, if you are still dealing with God consciousness that has remained unexamined since childhood, like if we're still dealing with certain things from our childhood with God or around our family, you are probably dealing with a toxic God. Why would a non-toxic God think of your creative? What would a non-toxic God think of your creative goals? Might such a God really exist? If so, would money or your job or your lover remain your higher power? Ooh. So that part, when she said that, I was just like, okay, let me redefine what I see as God. And would this person, would this higher force or whatever I believe in, would they be against my creativity?
Mm-hmm. That hit me too, as someone just speaking on someone who's never been religious. I was never raised, my dad was raised in the Catholic Church, so he was like, had some type of aversion to it. So he was real like, you make up what you want to make up. And my mom was just totally not, we were one of those people, you know, families that show up at church on Easter Sunday. They ain't never there no other time. So I'm always in church raising my hand as a new person.
Just the attendance.
I was like, what is this? So I've never been, you know, I never understood it. But for me, that hit me because I was like, I don't have any type of like anything attached to it. But for me, I was always like, it seems like the God that I'm hearing about is very rigid. And like she said before, kind of like, you know, put you in a box and you're supposed to do this, this, and this. And I was like, I don't think that doesn't feel right to me. You know, it doesn't seem right. So hearing that part, it's like, if I can create it myself, you know, I do feel like it's our intuition, low key, like the God that we feel in us, it's our intuition. That's why it speaks to us. That's why we feel it in our gut. That is what that is. You know, when you pray until you feel yourself have these awakenings, like all that That's our intuition, and that is our inner God and our goddess.
Supernatural. It's definitely supernatural. Something.
Absolutely, and I never have a name for it, but it's something, you know. So that's why I like where she said that. It's kind of like you make it be what it is, and I like what someone said earlier about it being positive energy or creative energy, like just what being energy in general. I would say the universe, or there's an energy above us, right? But we all come from it, and we all have it in us, and we just got to tap in, right? But that's the hard part, is like tapping in. So whatever you want to believe in, at the end of the day, just make sure you believe in yourself too.
Right.
That's what I have to leave myself with, like, because, you know, people are like, well, why don't you just believe in God then? I'm like, well, I have faith. I'm going to have faith in me and God too, but I'm going to have the faith in me. Like, I don't want to always, everything I do, I say, let me give that to God, or nope, God won't do this, or God, like, no, it should, we're working together, aren't we? You know, God's on my side.
God is on, right. God is on my side. And I also stay wary around people who push their stuff on me. Like when people just push it on me, I'm just like, no. And yeah, I also don't want anyone else to feel pushed at all with this conversation. So I'm just gonna kind of grace over and move along. But she mentions many of us equate difficulty, right? Like right after she talks about God, she says many of us equate difficulty with virtue and art with fooling around. So, and then she continues to say, hard work is good. A terrible job must be building our moral fiber. And that had me like, why sometimes is that the case, that we equate our strength to everything we've been through, like all the horrible things we've been through, or we say like, oh, like this is good, like because I worked hard, I this is tough. Like, why do we think like having a tough time and going through things as like a virtue, but yet we see playing and joy and childlike energy, like why do we see that as like you just messing around, you just being silly?
I think because
sorry, go ahead.
I was just about to say, I think sometimes as kids, that's like the messaging that we get, right? Sometimes even from our own parents, it's like, quit playing around, or go sit down, or whatever. And it's like, whoa, like, okay. So I think sometimes it's like the messaging that we get from adults as children, as like almost like play is just like for children only. Like once you hit a certain age, people are like, grow up. Like, why are you acting like that? And it's like, wait a minute, like, hold on, nurture that side. Like, I think that's also why too sometimes it can become difficult, and then people just think like, oh, I worked really hard for this, so it means more, versus if it was just like an easy transition or an easy transaction.
But that's harmful thinking, right? Like, isn't that pretty harmful? Like, oh, if it comes easy to me, this can't be good.
I'm not worthy.
Right.
Yeah, like,
how many you hear it's too good to be true? How many people live by that statement and will self-sabotage like a mother because it's like, oh, this is too good to be true, so they self-consciously ruin it before something bad happens that they're out of control of. I've been that person, so I'm just speaking from experience. Yeah. But I had to get rid of that statement. It's not too good to be true. It's happening. The shit's true, and I deserve it all.
Period. And she brings that up in the book as well when she starts talking about like luxury and like us just deserving the things that we want. Like this chapter got so real, and it had me really thinking about like having PTSD from poverty, like just having like just literally needing financial therapy. Like financial therapy is a real thing. Poverty, PTSD is a real thing. It's when you get some money, you so used to being broke, you so used to being poor, you get some money, you're like, let me hold on to it. Nah, I'm not buying the extra water. I'm not buying nothing expensive. I don't care if it's quality. Like I'm keeping my money. I'm never spending it. And then there's the other side of poverty PTSD, where it's like, I don't know when I'm ever gonna get this money again. Let me go crazy. I don't know when this goodness is ever gonna flow back into my life again. Let me just go crazy. It's financially irresponsible. It's your insecurity. It's your lack of self-esteem and your lack of sense of power too. Like, we have the power to recreate everything that comes into our life again. Like, and it took a lot of debunking certain belief systems for me to kind of get here. There's been a few times I came into a lot of money and blew it, and I was just like, I just forgiven myself over that for like a few months ago, and just like learning how to have a better relationship with money, a better relationship with luxury. It's having a better relationship with self. Yeah. It's having a better relationship with self. How we deal with money, how we see with money, our relationship with money is a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. So if we do get it and we like, oh, nah, not spending it, nah, nothing. That, I really feel like that signals out to the universe that we not ready yet. It signals out to the universe like they don't trust my abundance. They don't trust it yet. Like they need more work. You know what I mean? They need more work. Or versus when it's the other way and you give it out, it's like they still insecure. They just not sure. I don't like it. It just like when we're frugal and we're like, no, it's like the universe is just like, and God, everybody, whatever we believe in, they all come together and just feel like, not yet for her. Like, not yet. She's not there yet. And then also when we go crazy, they come around and be like, not yet. I say this all the time. I really feel like anytime I act broke, more broke shit happen to me. It'd be crazy. All my bills start piling up. I get an extra ticket. The weirdest things happen to me when I act broke and frugal. Like, I just realized, like, damn, this cost $2? Was this always $2? It gets crazy. But when I act rich and I act abundant and I move from a space of luxury and I know that more things are gonna flow into my life, like more things do. Like, it's
always comes back.
I'm sorry, I had to go on a little tangent because this luxury section and just the way we communicate and operate with money, like we have so many limiting beliefs around it from our parents. And we'll say like, oh, we can't be creative, we can't be joyful, we can't be childlike because this don't make no money. Or I could be doing something else that's gonna make money. But it's a weird relationship that we have with money. That's just like, if I gotta do this to get this from you. What about just me just stepping into my joy and not attracting money?
That's the crazy part, is it does, but we be scared, right? that's so crazy. Yeah. This was so on time for me because I was just literally having that conversation about abundance with my mentor, and he was telling me like, I get that you're in a better place now, but you're never gonna go back to the place you were before. So you gotta let go of the mindset and the ideologies that you have around money being hard to get and like having to work so hard for it. And I'm just used to having to bust my ass to get a damn dollar. And now I got a few and I'm like, I don't want to spend $1. But then I realized that's exactly what it's the opposite of. I'm giving off the energy like as if this is the last $5 I'm gonna ever have. When I know, now I realize, but it's so true. It's not when you have to literally reprogram your mind. You have to unlearn and learn the right stuff. Like now I'm listening to so many abundance podcasts and then reading this book. I was walking around my room like, oh my gosh, the alignment, bro. I was just listening to abundance podcasts and I didn't even realize this was the week of abundance. And I'm like, damn, Keisha, keep on learning, bro. Because like every time I spend money, it always comes back, but it's always that fear of like, I've been there before. I've been there where the shit didn't come back, or I shouldn't say that it didn't come back. It didn't come back as fast as I wanted it to. Right. So that fear, but that scarcity mindset just breeds more scarcity. And you're right. It brings, and that does nothing for me. Like I'm trying to be an abundant ass bitch. Okay. It's like, I need to not be broke. I'm not broke. But broke is a mindset. That's what I had to tell myself. I'll never be broke again because broke is a mindset and I'll never allow myself to have a broke mindset. So that's the key for me. That's what helped me. But I'm still obviously learning how to be abundant in the ways that really get me what I want. It's a journey.
It is a journey.
I just had this conversation with my brother because, okay, I had like last week, I think I was off work for like 3 days. And the last day, I wasn't doing anything. I had the day to myself and I really wanted to just chill. And my job called me. They're like, hey, can you come in? And I technically could come in because I wasn't doing anything, but I really didn't want to. And I was going back and forth with myself. I was like, dang, like an extra shift, like that's extra money. Like, even though my inner guide was like, just chill today. Like it's more beneficial for you as a person to just like rest and rejuvenate than like, you don't have like, I just have to get out of the mindset. Like, I don't have to, like you said, bust my ass for like literally minimum wage. Like, it's not going to make any difference in my life. But I was just so stuck in that mindset of, well, you're not doing anything else, so you need to be responsible and go to work. So I called my brother, and he was saying, because we were athletes like our whole life. So we were just always kind of taught to be the hardest working person in the room. And even if it wasn't like the money thing, I was like, I don't want to be seen as like, I'm not a hard worker, or like, I don't want, it's like, I have to have such a valid excuse for not coming to work, when in reality, I just don't want to. So I ended up not going, which I was proud of myself, but it really is like the unlearning, like reprogramming your mind. Like, Tamia, you don't have to freaking kill yourself at work to make like barely any money. Like, and the crazy thing is, like a couple of days later, my brother, he has his own fitness business. Like, we're both personal trainers, and he was like, hey, I need somebody to write blogs for my website, and you're a really good writer, so I want to hire you to do that. I'll pay you $100 already per post. I already have 2 posts ready for you. And that's like way more than I would make in that shift that I was stressing about. So yeah, it's crazy.
I think that like just between this conversation and like all the points that were made, I'm really gonna try not to make this like an anti-capitalist rant, but I will say eat the rich, just because this chapter really taught me that like we all deserve. No, seriously, and I do think that this chapter like validates that God is not a capitalist, because I really do. The grace that I'll extend is like, when you're restricted with resources, like, of course, you're going to try to, I think that when you mentioned that, Ariel, when you talked about like poverty, PTSD, it is because of a system that people have created where some people are poor and some people are not. And I do think that rich people really have us out here trying to make sense of why people are poor and putting it on the individual, when, again, that's why I'm saying that's not God. Like, when we have resources, like, everyone should have them. Everyone should always have it. And to be honest, when I was reading this luxury section, I thought of my good sis, Paris Hilton. And I was like, what did Paris do to earn the money she has? Exist. So, and look, I want to be clear that I'm not wishing ill on her or on anyone, but I really thought to myself, like, old girl was out here squeezing some cows or whatever, and then, was able to spin that into more money, more brand presence. But I really thought about it, and I'm like, okay, yes, I'm not Paris Hilton, but like, why do I need to rationalize to myself why I deserve more? Like, I feel like that in doing so, I'm moving away from God, and I shouldn't be listening or honestly believing in people who think that it's justified that I should struggle to get more. And it's in the same way, like, the last thing I'll say is, like, it's in the same way too that I'm trying to avoid people who want to justify why others should struggle, right? Like, somebody, I mean, just because Tamia brought up that minimum wage thing, like, I don't know, this is my last political thought, but like, for the people who are upset that, there may be like student loan forgiveness or 15 minimum wage, like, for people who are upset about that, I'm like, why are you upset about abundance? That will free them up. No, I'm just that's a personal that's my personal I'm not trying to put this on other people, but I'm just like, I don't understand like why this is a bad thing. It's not like they're taking money out of your pocket to pay for those person's student loans.
Right, so, like, what's wrong with you?
Like, what's wrong with you? Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't make it make sense.
Abundance is a well, bro. Yeah,
and is a right like that everyone deserves for just existing. But like, as I said, I don't know, hashtag eat the rich, done.
Oh my God.
No, seriously, because I'm sorry.
No, I just want to jump in. Hey, y'all, I just want to jump in real quick because what you said, and I think I don't know if y'all saw the Fox News special with Dave Ramsey. Like, I used to want to follow his, baby steps, the seven baby steps and whatever. But when he got on there and said, if people really need to worry about a stimulus check, then they have other issues going on. And I don't think that taking away student loans will benefit the people that make under $100,000. And I was just like, wow, sir, you filed bankruptcy. Like, you couldn't pay your bills at a time. And it wasn't even a pandemic back then. And you couldn't pay your bills. You had to file bankruptcy to start over. And now you're making all this money off of people who were in the same position as you. And now you're going to try to down them. I was like, sir, you're canceled.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can I just hop in? Or was she still talking? Sorry. Okay. It's hard like on Zoom. Sometimes I don't want to cut anybody off, but I just wanted to like say like this whole conversation is just hitting so hard because I'm like really, I have a lot of student loans and I'm living with my parents right now, literally 24 years old, sharing a room with my sister. And it's just been like extremely hard. But while I've been home, one thing, you know, like I read into a lot of these things, you know, I'm like actually a fan of law of attraction, spirituality, all those types of things. And reading this, I find myself like trying to reprogram my parents and their beliefs. Like the things I grew up with, I'm hearing now, okay, this is why, you know, I think this way. And here's how to, you know, reprogram myself. And like, I find myself teaching them and they're, you know, with me just being here, like saying, wow, I never thought about it that way. And I just wanted to say, as far as like abundance, like I don't remember where I read it from, but someone was saying that money itself is currency, like it's supposed to flow. You know, we want to hold on to it a lot because we're so afraid of letting it go and losing it. But I really do think like, I forget who said it, but like we have to remember it's going to come back. And I just wanted to say like that part of this, like this whole chapter hit really, really hard for me. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. This chapter truly like it's by far one of my favorite chapters, this and that anger chapter, but this chapter is really, it's just so damn powerful. And it's so powerful that we redefine what luxury is and just like what money means to us and how to move with money in organic, you know, like in wholesome, spiritual, abundant ways. Like we need to go down the rich avenue and be like, this, I'm rich and everything. And it doesn't even mean like shmoney. Like it just means rich in time. She talks about this in the book as well, like rich in time. That part put me in my feelings when she talked about rich in time, because I was just like, wow, I wonder what that's like to be rich in time. So does anybody want to does anybody want to say anything before I kind of jump into what she talks about with making art?
I have a quick question for everyone. Just like, how are people, especially on limited resources, how are people bringing luxury into your routine and bringing luxury like into your life? Because I think that like
filtered water.
Go ahead.
For real.
No, for real. I actually was gonna bring that up. I was gonna like for all of us just to talk about how we're adding more luxury to our lives, but we could do that right now. I love it. Thank you. So let's do it. How are we adding more luxury to our lives? I just tweeted about this. Like today's little luxuries, where I just kind of talked about everything that I did today and stuff. So can somebody share with? Oh, someone said flowers. Moran said fresh flowers. Like, how are we adding more luxury to our daily lives?
Yeah, I think there's one part in the book where she speaks about that, and she says, make things that are yours, like mine. And I know for myself, when I was thinking of luxury, I was like, okay, give me a little mink coat, like Lil' Kim or whatnot. I gotta have bottoms, but it's not.
Get the ink.
Mink lashes, mink jacket. I was thinking that's what it is, but really it's like, it's that moment where you feel like, no, you on the top floor, you know? So for me, it was, if I get my special little, like glass cup, I fill it up and you have that water dripping on the side and it looks beautiful, it looks amazing. And I sip it and I look out the window, I feel like I'm somewhere else. I feel like I'm just able to do whatever I want to do. I feel like there are no restrictions placed on me, whether it be financially, mentally, physically, whatever. And like having that moment just makes me feel like I'm luxurious. Like it's not like I'm just sitting here drinking some water in a cup, but because the cup is mine, the water is mine. You know, it looks the way I want it to look. I have complete control over this moment. The ice is where I want it to be. It feels like this is my moment and no one can take that from me. So however you this whole chapter was about unlearning and relearning, like what it means to be luxurious, to have abundance. How abundant can you be? You know, like redefining what work is. And I think that special moment for me is just having something that's mine.
Right.
Yes, that whole chapter, to piggyback what off you said, when I was reading that, I was thinking about going to a paint pottery class or a pottery class, and I was like, I want to make my own cereal bowl. I don't eat cereal, but I'm gonna start eating cereal now because I made this bowl. And I was like, oh, I love that.
I love cereal. With me, I do like my non-negotiable for my luxurious life. My bubble baths on Sundays. I started to add more throughout the week, honestly. Now I do Wellness Wednesday, and then I got my self-care Sundays. Okay, so it's non-negotiable. Like my son knows, like don't. I have my time, but my bubble bath. I mean, it's spending a couple bucks on my Epsom salt bubble bath, and get me some Epsom salt, and got my little teacup candles that are $2.50 for a pack of 50 of them. You know, got my bathroom, set the mood. You know, but that's something that I do. That's every week, no matter what. You know, that just refills my cup. But then it's also like saving up a couple bucks and getting yourself those sheets that are bomb. So every time you get in bed, it's like I'm slipping into my bed, and I had to like make it like schedule out, like put it into my like budget, because I'm very big on buying stuff for my son all day long. But for me, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll wait till next check. No, and then I got the money. So I had to tell myself like, no, you have the money, budget this in. This is just going to be something I buy for the house, right? But it makes a difference. Another thing I got was a satin robe off of Amazon for $8.99, and that should be having me for honey. It's red. I'll be walking around now. You can't tell me nothing. Okay, my glass of wine and my red robe on the weekend. So it's little things that I didn't spend a lot on, but for me, it just makes me feel good. You know, it makes me feel like the queen of my world, and I think we all need stuff like that. So I used to think big like that too. I know I'm gonna get there and I have all the bags and the coats and all that, but for now, like having my favorite tea, that's $4 a box for my favorite tea in the morning, sitting in my favorite robe, in my bed sheets that feel good. Like you can't tell me that's not luxury, but like who gonna check me? Like I'm living the good life, okay?
Yeah.
So that's my input on what I do to add luxury. So
yeah. So I have one.
Yeah.
Please share.
Oh, Letitia, you there?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. So my luxury that I do is like just having quiet time, taking the time to just not like, not talk with everyone, not like listen to anything, just that peace and quiet and stillness. I've gotten like, I don't know, but as time like progresses and I'm getting older, I just really like having quiet time. So that's my luxury.
That's a very important luxury. It's my luxury too. I was gonna say that my luxury is quiet time. It's meditation. Even if it's for 10 minutes, it feels luxurious. It really
so nice.
It's like, shut the fuck up! Oh wait, I hope you guys get that joke. But yeah, like that's what it kind of reminds me of, like Juicy J. But yes, does anybody feel like all these luxuries that we're naming, like, or like sometimes we feel like you're doing something luxurious but it don't feel luxurious? Does anybody like with that? Okay, because
like buying clothes. Like this chapter really pointed out, like Aja was saying, Asia was saying, about all like the non-material things and how she thought like mink lashes and robes, this and that was gonna do it. And sometimes when I buy new clothes, I end up giving it away the next week, and I'm like, I just spent $30 on this sweater and I'm never gonna wear it. Like, why did I do that? In the split second it felt good, but then if I try to wear it again, just the way I feel in my environment, that's not fitting. Not because it's not cute or whatever, but it just doesn't suit who I want to be. And I'm spending all this money on clothes that I thought would fit me. And it's like Goodwill, this and that, which is fine, but I could have saved that money and bought something better, bought something I really wanted that could have been luxurious. So I think that also goes back to when I was younger, my family and my aunts and uncles and stuff, the way they would spend quality time with me would be going shopping. Oh, what do you want? You want this and that. And now when I do that for myself, I have to buy like bubble bath or buy a robe or skincare, stuff that's going to make me feel good. because that like clothes stuff's not really hitting anymore, and I'm like, I'll just wear the same shirt 3 days in a row. It's cool.
Yeah. If that fulfills you, yeah.
Right. Or you can get buy some clothes that suit you. Girl, take your time when you shop. That's what I started to do. Because I used to rush. I used to go on my lunch break a lot and be like, all right, 20 minutes in Ross, out Ross. Like, that's not doing nothing for my psyche. Like, I would come out with some cute stuff, but taking your time, shopping, finding stuff that fits your body, that you put on and you feel good in the mirror. You walking around like, damn, who that? That's Teresa. Damn, okay, Teresa. You know, you need to be able to make it feeling good. So take your time and spend that money, but make sure it's on luxurious items that you do want to wear and that you know for a fact you're going to wear, that you want to wear so much. You don't care how many Instagram posts you put. It's your favorite sweater now. So
yeah.
That's how you need to be.
Luxury is just being intentional too. Like luxury is just being real intentional with your time. Luxury is being intentional with your silence, with your money, with your clothes, how you show up. I just feel like it's just being like super intentional.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because I just think it's like, it just shows too that just because you can afford things doesn't mean that they actually have value to you. Like, you know, the people who really care about fashion, or that's one way that they show their creativity or feel like themselves, like when they spend money on pieces, it's intentional, as you said. It's you know, this choice that they're making and not something that's happening to them. And I feel like that also then explains too why there are people who might have a lot of money but still be like poor in spirit, or like poor or just not happy, which she does talk about at times, right? So I feel like I agree that, and I think that that's a great analogy too for the way that she's encouraging us to think about creativity, that like just be intentional. Like if you are really into movies, into music, like be intentional with that time versus just kind of zoning out when you're watching a show or whatever. Like, I mean, because I missed the beginning, but like my artist dates are me watching movies. But like when I'm watching a movie, I'm like analyzing it. I'm thinking about the storyline. Like, you know, I'm really engaging with it versus just kind of like it being something that I'm just passively taking in, if that makes sense. But that's because, I mean, that's again, a way that I want to be creative. So it's a learning process and something that I'm really enjoying. So I don't know. I think in the same way, like that's the way I'm starting, or that's just what I'm taking from the luxury piece, as you said, like it's intentional, and like it's the same way with the ways we should be creative, like be intentional too for us to get value out of it.
Absolutely.
Like I really resonate with being intentional, because when I actually think about it, that's part of the reasons why the things that I do in my life right now that bring me luxury. So I'm trying to get into like planting my own food, which is going different ways. Like I've almost killed 2 pepper plants, but so far it's going fine. So I'm trying to be more conscious about if I can grow these plants, if I can do it, if it doesn't take much time, why don't I just do it? At least I know I'm making this for myself. I did the whole you know, this green onion plants that you can just put in the water and then like it grows, that you see everywhere. I actually tried it and it actually worked. And for the first time, like 2 days ago, I had my food for breakfast, and it felt good actually cutting the plant and knowing that I did that, I made that. And today I bought like a basil plant, and it's just these little things. Okay, I can do that. Okay, why don't I do it? I know that it's coming from me. I know I can always make it. Why don't I just try to, you know, it's also a way to connect with the earth in that respect, and to be very intentional, and to be responsible and disciplined. So this kind of stuff gives me luxury. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. That's honestly my dream life. Like when I'm like a lot older and I'm done and I popped out all my babies, I want it to be like me and my garden, like and baby boy. The mother and baby boy had clear skin and a great body for a reason, because she was healing them plants, which was healing her. So yeah, that's amazing. I think that's really beautiful. Does anybody else want to share?
Oh, yeah, I guess I could share one thing. I went and stayed at my friend's house the other day, and I was like, okay, my friend, she like travels all over the place, and I was like, okay, I gotta bring a cute little fit so I can look good. And you know, I was thinking that was my idea of like luxurious. I get to her place because I was staying over, and I lay down on the bed, and I just like sink into it. And it was a Tempur-Pedic, and I just felt like I was floating on clouds at that moment. And she goes to me, yeah, I really take pride in my pillows and my bedding, and I make sure that my silk pillowcases are silk. And I was like, forget the clothes that I bought, my 30,000 outfits that I bought. This bed is what's making me feel like I'm so special. And Miss Julia, she talks about our values and how spending money on certain things doesn't necessarily reflect our values. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I mean, clothes are cute, but that's not what like I truly value and I feel most authentic. I feel like that's really speaking to me. And I just really felt like her being very intentional about the way that she set up her bed and her room and her sleeping space was more, it was reached more like a higher level of authenticity for her. Like I truly felt like she was at this place where it's like she has something for herself, whereas I'm over here worried about these little raggedy clothes that it doesn't really speak to my authenticity because I'm trying to, I guess, tap into something that isn't even for me anyway. Like my authentic space or like being in an authentic, my idea of authenticity is probably different, you know? And when she talked about, I guess, chapters ago about how things that you like will change, I started to see like, maybe I do need a Tempur-Pedic and some satin silk pillowcases, and maybe I do need this. Like that felt really good to me. And I just had like this enlightening moment of things coming together and being like, authenticity, when you tap into that, it really feels incredible. It really feels like you're tapping into the space that has not been touched before.
That, I love that. That is so true. That is so true. You always come on here and spit bars. Like
I just try to remember the good stuff in my week.
I just feel elevated when you speak. It just feels good. But to bring it back to the book as well, she talks about authenticity right after luxury. She says, for those of us who have become artistically anorectic, yearning to be creative and refusing to feed that hunger in ourselves, so that we become more and more focused on our deprivation, a little authentic luxury can go a long way. The key word here is authentic. Because art is born in expansion. When she said that, I was like, art is born in expansion. So that made me feel like art, love, creativity, joy is born when I'm high and I'm abundant and I'm flowing and things are going. That's when it's born. It's not born when I'm depriving myself. I'm young, frugal. I don't got it. Like it. This is when art is born. And I thought that was so powerful. She said, because art is born in expansion and a belief in sufficient supply, it is critical that we pamper ourselves for the sense of abundance it brings to us. And this entire chapter, it kind of like, it had me in my feelings. There were so many moments I was just like, wow, this is so powerful. Wow, I feel amazing. Wow, I'm on a great track. A lot of things feel luxurious, but then also introduce a lot of like old ways I used to feel. And I'm just so proud that I'm here now. But for a really, really, really long time, it was so hard for me to treat myself good and to like pamper myself and not feel bad about it, or like I didn't even feel like I deserved it. I used to really feel like the only way I deserve a bath is if I enroll back in school. I used to feel like that. The only way I would comb and moisturize my hair is if I need to like get up early or like do the things I have to do. I would associate doing good things for myself with being productive. And for a long time, that was the case. And reading it just kind of brought up like a lot of different emotions. Like, was that luxury? Was that good? Like, was that wellness? Attaching certain things, like making sure I'm there with it in order to get here with it. Like, it was just weird. So long story short, it brought up a lot of emotions for me. I'm so proud of my journey, everyone's journey that we're on. Like, we're on our own journey. And it's just really powerful how the book is going to like keep us grateful, keep us full, but then also just remind us of how far we've come.
Yeah, I love that, like related to what you said, Ariel, like I love that she ended the chapter with like a Cinderella analogy, like when she talks about her friend who says, keep Cinderella, but focus on giving yourself the glass slipper. The second half of that fairy tale is great. And like, I think I wrote, damn. And then I wrote, Cinderella didn't have to slave for that slipper. She allowed herself luxuries, like, you know, by going to the ball, by when the opportunity with the fairy godmother arose, like she allowed herself that luxury to put herself in position for what was really for her. And she followed that affirmation of what she deserved. And that really is what set her on the path to the glass slipper, you know? And I think a lot about that, or at least, I don't know, I really liked the way that analogy turned out. Like I said, the second half of the fairy tale is great. So I've been trying to think to myself, like, wow, like, yeah, like keep the Cinderella, you know, working and putting herself in position energy. But like, again, if we look at that, if Cinderella had ignored fairy godmother, or, you know, ignored the mice that were trying to help her go to the ball, like ignored the ball.
They were the crazy makers.
You know.
They were the crazy makers.
Yes. Like she never would have, you know what I mean? Like that glass slipper fit her. It was for her, like, period. She didn't have to go and make it. You know, so I don't, not to take it too far, but like, I don't know. I really thought a lot about that like, I feel like for me, I definitely have always had for myself, like trying to explain to myself like this misfit energy or mindset that I have, and explaining to myself certain situations I was in that I didn't deserve. But now I thought about it, I'm like, you know what if I start opening myself up to the fairy godmother figures or to the helpful mice in my life, and like following that path, what if I'm looking for the ball in my life that like I can go to, that then puts me in a position for other opportunities, for that glass slipper to come to me, you know, versus staying in the house cleaning up dirt trying to explain to myself like why I deserve this or how I got here, you know. Again, I know I'm overanalyzing a Disney thing, but that was also another way that I was thinking about it, that I was like, okay, I like that.
No, thank you so much. Just thank you for all your input, but also thank you especially for that, because that bar, I was like, oh my god, like that is so true about Cinderella. I love that she brought that up. I don't even have nothing to say. I just love that she brought that up. That was that amazing. It's like, I feel like that deserved a moment. But yeah, and another thing that had me thinking about Cinderella as well is like, when Cinderella did step into her shoe that did fit, she ain't tiptoeing it. You know, she wasn't like, can I wear it? Do it fit? I don't know. She went and flexed all night. She went and flexed, like was spinning, twirling, twerking. Like she was just like, she just stepped into Cinderella. And I thought that was fire. I was like, you know, and that's the thing. Sometimes I feel like we take our art or we do certain things and we just tiptoe with it. We like, I don't know. We play the fence with it. We don't know, but then like, we don't step into it. Like, you know, we had audacity. So like that. So that's the last thing I did want to add about Cinderella, because she was that girl and she put her glass up on and was like very, very walked in strides. So yeah. Does anybody else have anything to add?
So I was going to add the line underneath that where she says luxury is very often a shift in consciousness more than a flow. So I don't know if anybody knows about like frequencies, but a lot of the time, like lower frequency behavior, it's kind of like what you was talking about before, almost like that like buyer's remorse. So like right after you buy something, you're like, oh dang, I shouldn't have did that. And like you automatically make yourself feel bad. Like that's lower frequency shit. But when you're operating a higher frequency, you're doing these things, like you're doing these little luxuries, because in order for blessings or things or whatever you're trying to attract, you have to be on a higher level in order to be able to gain and obtain those things and to be able to appreciate those things with they do. Otherwise, if you're operating at a lower frequency, you might miss it, or you might not realize it might be opportunity because you're not thinking clear enough because you just worried about, oh no, okay, I gotta pay this. And I understand, trust me, I get it, because I've come from not money at all, like at all. And so I had to unlearn that too. Like literally just the other day, I was at Natural Grocers because my city just got one. And I spent almost about $100 on groceries. And I felt so bad because it was not the same amount that I would get at Aldi. It just was not. But I still made a bomb ass meal. There was like, I made a meal out of the stuff and maybe I have like a few other things left over. But it's what that meal did to my body that I was like, oh, it was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it, because at the end of the day, it's like, yes, you have to shift your consciousness in order to be able to level up and boss up you want to. But I understand it is tough when you in the circumstance. Like it can be tough to see the other side when you in the circumstance, but yeah, it's change.
Yeah, so I love that line that you brought up when she says that. She like it is shifting our consciousness for flow, right? And then she says, although we acknowledge and invite what feels luxurious to us, we may also indeed trigger and increase flow. So when she said that, I was just like, okay, like the second I kind of shift my mindset around luxury, just more goodness will just flow into my life because I'm now accepting of it and I'm now like, this is what it is. And I also love that you brought up frequency because I am a big person on eating for a certain frequency. It's important. All food has a frequency. Food is literally energy. So certain foods give us more energy and certain foods take it away. And it's like with my clients, with my workshops, I'm just always talking about high vibrating foods that are colorful and vibrancy, foods that are just rich in variety. Like, so it's like different textures, different colors, different feelings, just like having a plate that is like a rainbow. And it is so important because when we eat different colors and we feel colorful, like it's high, it's like you eat colorful, you feel colorful. I say it all the time, like it is absolutely true. When we eat plant-based, when we eat majority whole fruits, whole vegetables, the body is just like on a high. It's giving everything it needs all the time. It's like, thank you, I needed this. But when we eat things like refined carbs, like white bread, like meats, there's nothing wrong with meats and bread and stuff, but just an abundance of it, like the lack of color in breads and rice and pasta and meats, like the lack of color in it is the lack of vibrancy in it. Just, it's not going to give us energy. I've never heard of it. Like a whole loaf of bread just giving us a spike of energy, or like a whole pasta giving us energy. Like it is so important for us to eat vibrant, to feel vibrant, like and eating quality too. Just eating quality. Like if you are gonna eat meat, eat quality meat. If you are like, eat quality. So food is one of my luxuries in life. Like I'll spend it. I will spend it, but I do think that even if we spend it, it's important that we're intentional with our time and also eat it, and just intentional all the time. Like even when we going out, just being intentional. Like, all right, is this plate colorful? Is this giving me energy? Is this intentional? Like just things like that, because it's hard for us to read intentional books and it's hard for us to have intentional conversations, but then the way we feed our bodies, you know, the way we feed our thoughts, like it's important. So yeah, I'm sorry y'all, nutrition is my bag. So yeah. So the exercises that she talks about, I thought that they were really cool. And some of them is like us, like where it says money, madness, and exercise, how like we just finished the sentence, right? So a few things brought up like limiting beliefs, but a few things brought up like who will we be with money? So I love that she said, one of the blanks is, when I have more money, I usually, right? So I would like to talk about that real quick. Like, what would we do with more money? When you just start thinking about like, what, like with money, like what we get a lot of money, what would we do? Who would we be? How would we show up?
So for me, I'd say like when I think of having more money, I just think automatically of having more possibilities. Like I feel like money just kind of gives you pretty much freedom to do things. And like for me, I always think of it in the literal sense of travel. Like I would love to travel. I don't get to do it that often. So I don't know, just possibility, freedom to just go anywhere is like kind of my go-to when I hear that.
Yeah. So if you had more money, you would travel.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait for this pandemic to be done.
I really had to think about when I read that, I had to really sit and think and say, don't answer this with your old mindset. Like answer this with your new mindset. You know, what in the future, how would you feel, you know, when you have money, what would you do? Because the old me, you know, would have said, oh, pay bills, or just reckless spend, you know, buying things that you really, really don't need instead of investing in yourself. Like, you know, how she said self-care. So it really made me think like, okay, answering these questions with the old mindset is not going to give you abundance. Right. You got to put it into the future of what you want and what you deserve. The audacity, in a sense. Okay.
Okay. Having the audacity. Yes. I love that. So when we think about our future self, what would they do with money?
Bungee jump off a waterfall, like just crazy shit. Like I just want to experience everything, be naked in like the, like not the wilderness, but like my own beach. I don't know, like just shit, like crazy shit.
Did anybody get tripped up on question 11? I'm afraid that if I had money, I would, like, I still don't have an answer because I don't know what I'd be afraid I would do.
Yeah.
For me, that crept up. Like if I felt like, I know I want to, like, to the first part, I want to help others. So for me, it's like, I just want to open up group homes all around the country and help people that don't got nowhere to go, especially young adolescents, like 16 to 21. They're like my heart. And I just catch them before it's too late. We could change the world. So I'm just real, that for me would happen. So I thought about that, like on the flip side of that, well, if I had so much money, what would I be scared of? And it was of like, I'm kind of low key nervous of how I would change, if I would change. And that's like, I love how I am and who I am. And I'm like, oh, everything I've been through made me who I am. But I've never been ridiculously rich. So it's like, I get when I watch these podcasts or like, you know, podcasts and videos about abundance and success, they just say, you know, if you're a good person, you get rich, you'll be more of a good person. Right. But if you were, you know, you were a shitty person before, you get a lot of money, you're still gonna be a shitty person. Like it just enhances that. So I try to remind myself like, well, why would it change me? But that was what crept up for me, where I was kind of like, well, would I be different? Or like, what, like, you know, would I have to like, would there be certain people I wouldn't want to talk to anymore? Because I'd be like, listen, I make over, you know, a certain amount of money, can't talk to you. Like, I don't know if I would turn that bougie. I don't think I'm like that, but I don't know, you know?
Yeah, I think about that often. And that's why, like, I talked about the poverty PTSD. Like, I think about that often. Like, with more money and a different lifestyle, like, would you lose your friends? You know, like, or like,
but they look at you different. Like, are my friends gonna look at me funny? You know what I mean? If they're not where I am and I'm more successful, I think it's that, like, that's a fear too. But then we shouldn't care about others, right?
Yeah,
right.
But high key, even thinking of that, I really do feel like it sends out signals that's like, you know what I mean? Like, not yet. That's the not yet. Like,
well, right, exactly.
I get so nervous about that. When I read 11, and it's like, I'm afraid if I had money, I'm afraid that I would get $1 million and give away $1 million.
Me too.
Pay for everybody's rent. Everybody rent on me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody rent on me, and all the ideas that I have for myself, like opening up a resort, all the ideas that traveling the world, all the ideas I want for myself out the window because I got the mill and I'm getting my mother a house. I'm getting my father a bowling alley. Like I'm doing everything, but not for me. And that's scary sometimes. Like, damn, if I had an abundance, I'd give it away. And that's alarming. So I think that's what 11 brought for me.
Alarming.
Listen, 11, I answered, I literally said, lose myself. Because I'm so used to being helpful. Like soon as when somebody asks for money, I'm so used to be like, okay, you can borrow it. Learn how to say no, sis. No. So, you know, I was afraid that if I had money, I would go back to losing myself and not taking care. So, yeah.
Right to that too. When you're a giver, I think it's when you have a good, you know, you're a giver. That's naturally, you're like, oh, the more money I get, for me, I had to come back. My mentor's like, so what are you going to do? You wrote all these goals of you get money, you're going to help all these other people. What about you? And I was like, oh, I had to take a second to like take a step back. Like, yeah, but it is going to serve me to serve other people. But at the same time, we do need to put ourselves on the list. It's important not to forget about us.
These questions was really, really powerful. Edie just said, thanks for calling it, bringing it up. I feel like that question be tapping into our intuition about people's situations around us that are not abundant. I think about that all the time. Like if I'm worried about who will change around me, why am I like, they'll probably change now. Like they're probably not abundant now, you know, like that's probably the case now. So I thought that was really right. Absolutely.
And that makes you think too, with right before you go, I was gonna say, that makes you kind of, well, for me, it made me think about if I'm envisioning my future abundant self, reevaluating, like, would my future self be entertaining these people in my life who are stuck on the scarcity mindset? Like, would they really be serving my abundant self? And if I were to show up as my abundant self right now, the choices that I need to make, they got to serve her, right? And that means serving me in the right way and like keeping me in alignment with that. So that definitely had me thinking about that too. Like, well, there might be certain people that fall off, but they probably aren't supposed to be here anyway right now. It's just that I haven't had the balls or the gall to say, you got to go. But, you know, once you hit a certain point, it's like, I think people will naturally dissipate because it's like, oh, you become untouchable to certain people who aren't on your same thinking frequency. You know
people
what I mean?
who always talk about cutting people off every week. It's just like, you right there.
Oh, you gotta clear that baggage out, Teresa. Clear them out. Take that trash out, girl. Don't feel bad now either.
Every week. It's like, no. Did you cut them off? Like,
I know it's easier said than done.
It is easier said than done, but I'm not gonna lie. Every year I revisit this book, and every year it gets clearer and clearer who belongs in my life. It's like, whoop. Like, and I don't like to think about I'm cutting people off, or I don't even think of it from that point of view. I don't think of it like who I need to let go. I think of like who I need to keep talking to. Who do I need to keep nurturing?
Right.
That's what I think about. I think about like who I need to pour into more. I never ever think about who I need to cut off or like what I gotta do. I just like, yeah. Oh, Teresa, girl. Okay, so yeah. We can hear you. It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all I don't know what the hell that was. That sounded like a robot.
I did hear someone say something.
It's not somebody was talking as they were blowing their nose. I didn't know what was going on.
So funny.
I'm sorry. I learned the trumpet recently.
Yeah. And all right, so the next one I want to bring up is, in order to have money, I need to, what came up for y'all? In order for me to have money, what do I need to do?
I think for me, it's about trusting myself. And a lot, like this past week, I've been tested over and over with trusting myself and trusting my inner guide, because I feel like, even relating it back to the God thing, I think that that's like the God in me, and I just have to trust that that's never going to steer me wrong, and it's always going to steer me towards abundance. But with that being said, I'm grateful that I'm able to tell the difference, but it's really important to know the difference between your inner guide and like that hater voice that we all have like in the back of our head that's trying to stop us from getting to that point and from trusting ourselves. But yeah, for me, it's just about trusting myself, and I feel like the rest will fall into place.
Yeah. I've always hated when people tell me to be practical, because I feel like my inner, like that inner demon, like the negative me, I do think that like she thrives off of being practical and sensible. I think she signs up for it. She's first in line. So I don't try to like flirt with her or be friends with her at all, because I just like it. And I noticed that when other people reflect some of the things she says, I just don't even want to finish the conversation. I'm just like, oh, okay. But then it is interesting, because it's important to find the balance between like being practical and also being just, I don't like the word realistic either, because I just feel like anytime people are like, be realistic, they're saying, be calm, like play it cool, be mediocre. And I'm like, no. But yeah, like it's just something about mediocrity that I'm not gonna lie, sometimes just scares me, because it's nothing wrong with being mediocre, but I just don't want to be mediocre. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going on a little tangent. We talking about money, right? So
how much money are we gonna make real life though if we're being mediocre? Just gonna throw that out there. You know, ain't nothing wrong with being mediocre, but we talking about being abundant.
Yeah.
Might not be the, you know.
I'll be right. But then I also feel like being scared of being broke, being scared of being mediocre is low-key it's signaling. It's go back to signaling. It's like, not yet. My sister's not yet, because she's bugging. She's still scared. So that's the thing too, like, just like not being afraid. But yeah, like, what do we feel like we need to do in order to get more money? Like, and I don't mean like, oh, I got to spend an hour to apply for more jobs. I mean, like, who do we need to be to get more money?
I think that's a really great question, because it's like, look, especially in a pandemic, I'm not going to be out here telling people to leave their jobs if I'm not paying their bills. But like, I think that question is important because you're projecting the situation that you know you deserve to be in, and you're actively planning around the blocks that you're currently encountering, right? So I don't know, I just really appreciate that you asked that. So it's like, I mean, I wrote something to the effect of just like switching and changing careers, because it's like, I know that if I continue to rationalize if I stay, you know, in the environment I'm currently at, if I continue to rationalize that, like, that's drawing me away from abundance, away from God, etc. You know, so I do think that, I don't know, even if you can't immediately drop and leave a situation, like, at least planning to leave, I do think is like you planning to work your way back to creativity, back to God, back to what the universe knows you deserve.
Does anybody else want to
add? I think another thing is having faith in raising my vibrations.
Yes.
Around it. Because like we say, it's going to come, but we can't have the scared mindset, you know? So like when people get their tax returns back, it's like, that's the most money they get back at one time at the year. And they be like, let me just hold on to this. And okay, now everybody's situation is going to be different, especially we're in a pandemic, but you know, it's going to come back if you don't have that scared mindset. Not that much, but it's going to keep coming. You're not going to just be like, oh, this is all I have. Especially if you have a job. Like for me, I'd be like, sis, you get paid next week. When you get your tax return back, it's not like that's the end of the world. That's not the end of your job. So that's how I feel about just raising my vibrations.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Scare money, don't make no money. If I ever go broke. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was one thing I wanted to say real quickly about money. I can't remember. Is anybody else? It's gonna come back to me.
Well, I was gonna go. I mean, for me, I agree with, I think it says Karina. For me, I'm the same way. For me to be for me to attract money, I need to be my most confident self. And I know I come across like I'm self-confident. I feel very confident, but there are certain moments where it like flickers a little bit. And just recently, like I got promoted at work just last week, and I'm like, oh yeah, like that's great. But then I realized like, if I take on this position, I might get like $3 extra. And now I have a team of people that I got to build up, and I only get paid if they hit their quota. So I'll be putting in hella work with these people, which is awesome. I want to coach. But then I thought I had to take a second. And I said in the group chat, like the morning pages kind of got me right. Because I had to really ask myself, well, what am I taking this job for? And is it really serving my soul? Like, I thought it was cool. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a team lead. I've never been a team lead before. Like, I never even did sales before this job. And here I am 2 years later getting promoted. I'm like, that's awesome. But then I thought about it, like, but I really, really personally want to build my coaching business where I am working with women and teaching them how to trust their intuition and just build, set goals for yourself and actually understand. You don't have to just be, a mom. You can actually accomplish it for yourself too. And I know I have this dream, and I've been sleeping on it. I created a free course last year for self-love, but then I have a workbook that I'm working on. So it's like all this stuff that I'm working on, right? But it's like like you said before, like tiptoeing on it. And now I realize like, okay, I'm faced with a decision right now. I could take this position and probably be even more drained when I get off of work and put all of my stuff even more to the side, or I could take this moment and say, I'm gonna pass on that and actually believe in myself and go full throttle on the stuff that I want to do. Because by the end of this year, if I put in the same energy that I would as a team lead, I probably could have some paying clients by the end of the year if I really wanted to, right? And that's what I really want. But I had to be real with myself. Like, Marquisha, I got to be real enough and like confident enough to actually believe that I can do it and actually do it. you know, and I'm like, damn, do I want to be building their dream or do I want to build my own? Right. And if I'm saying yes to them, am I saying no to my dream? Kind of, right? And I had to ask myself that, like, well, Keisha, you need to say yes to you right now. Like, if it's not saying yes to your dream, it can't be a yes. And even though it's a promotion, it's like, I don't want to just be team lead. I want to be business owner and running my own coaching business. Like, I don't care about, you know, but my ego was like, yeah, bitch, you're gonna be team lead. And I had to check myself. Like, no, if I'm more confident in myself, I'm gonna say I'm not even gonna be at this job by the end of the year because I'm gonna be doing my own shit, making my own money. Right. But I know I have to be my most confident version of me to make that happen. But I'm literally, I just turned down the offer today. So I was like, this shit was so on point for me. Because I'm like, you know what? And I told her, like, I got some other stuff I'm trying to work on. And she was, you know, they respect it. But it kind of like hit me like, damn, I just turned down an opportunity. I don't like saying no to opportunities because I'm always about growing. And I'm like, I really want to grow as a coach and help people change their lives, not just be better on the phone and make sales for this company. Yeah. You know, so I need to follow what my intuition, my inner goddess is telling me to really, you know, pour into me. So I'm just putting that out there. That's like, those are moments that I realized, like, okay, if I had total self-confidence, it would be a no-brainer. I'd be a coach already, right? But there's something that's...
Girlfriend, you said yes to yourself.
Thank you.
But you said yes to yourself.
Thank you. Yes, I think that's a big deal, right? Like, because a lot of times I would have still been saying yes to myself, like, yeah, I'm getting a promotion, but I would have been, sleeping on myself real life and going to bed tired that I didn't do anything that I personally want to do and really like, nah.
But I love that.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. It's
okay. I just love that you practice, again, discernment with it. Like, because sometimes when I get into this bag, I do feel like I'm telling people to quit their job. And I do feel like sometimes getting a raise and saying yes to the raise is saying yes to yourself. But because you already knew the situation and you already knew, like, I'm going to have less energy for myself. I'm going to not be able to pour into myself. Like that is a clear indicator, like that would be saying no to you. But sometimes for me personally, I struggle with like knowing when it's a yes and when it's a no. And I think that that's also very fair as well. Like keeping a job is not always a no to yourself. You know, because when I used to think like that for a while. I used to be like, oh, I'm working for this other person. It's taken away from me. I used to really feel like there ain't no plan B. Plan B distract from plan A. And I think that that's true. I do think that that's true. But I think that practicing like a sense of balance and building the necessary skills and habits that you need in order to really just go full throttle with your shit, it's what transitions you. It's what's gonna propel you to do what you need to do. Because a lot of times if we just quit our job or quit our situation, we like, oh, this is saying no to me, I'm saying yes to me. When we just jump and do that, we do lack the discipline. You know, we do lack the perseverance. We do lack certain things that we like. And sometimes a job teaches you that. It teaches you discipline. Oh, wake up at this time. Okay. Oh, go get this. It teaches you certain qualities to show up for other people in a way that you can show up for yourself. So I do think that it's important to practice the discernment of what saying yes looks like. And if you are not ready to say yes to yourself, think about the habits that the person who does say yes to themselves have. Like, what type of things do they do? Are they waking up early? How are they eating? How are they spending their time? What books are they reading? What conversations are they having? Like, just kind of thinking about like the foundation it's going to take for you, because sometimes it don't even be the money. It be the quality of the type of person that you are. Like, it's like, it don't even matter if you got money right now. You don't wake up on time.
Right.
You want social media often.
You know, what value of return are you giving yourself? The value of your own time. What you giving yourself on that?
You know, and that's the thing. We be so quick to quit our jobs and just dub our jobs like, oh no, this is not in alignment, but we don't move in alignment. You know, we'll fuck around and be on social media for 2 hours, but it's our job that's holding us back.
So actually, can I add something?
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, you got it?
I'm in the middle of work, actually. I have a free period. I'm a teacher. Speaking of teachers, but so actually, what is it? So I find that
when we show up for ourselves, we can show up for other people along what you were saying. And I find that it wasn't my job that was making me unhappy. Like, there were other things in my life that were sometimes the job, yes, does make you unhappy. But like, I find that lately I'm showing up, when I show up for myself first, then I can show up for other people. I'm showing up for my students, like way more energetic, way more present. Like, if things don't go according to plan, even if things don't go according to plan, like, you know, I'm like, okay, yeah, I got this. Like, I can do it. Like, the power is within me. And I think this kind of energy has actually attracted other people to it, because my coworker came to me yesterday. And like, so I live in Japan, and Japanese people don't normally talk about relationships or personal lives with their coworkers. So it was kind of surprising that he came to me, and while I was journaling yesterday and writing my morning pages, and he's like, I almost broke up with my girlfriend. And I said, well, why? And he said, she has no time for me. At her job, she has too much. Everything is her job right now. And she's saying, yes, she works at a bank, or like, and an overseas bank. So the banks open after 5 p.m. in Japan. So she's working overtime every day. She's saying yes to every project. And he's telling me that she can't say no to these clients. And I said, I think she can. It might be difficult, but I think she can. And when sorry, my lipstick is all smeared from the mask. When she starts respecting her own time, other people will start respecting her own time. And she's part of many teams, so she can delegate the work to other people. So I think it all, like, we find the answers in ourselves, and I think other people can also sense that energy. And like, oh, it was crazy. I'm like, I think he knew that I could give him some advice on that. Mm-hmm. And he was drawn to that energy, that because I found that recently. Wow. I don't know if I'm saying this right.
No, you are. You're saying that because you showed up for you.
Yeah.
I
was able to show up for him too.
And, right, yeah. Exactly. You're able to exude what the energy that requires showing, like I show up for myself, so I exude showing up for myself energy, which attracts people who might need some guidance in showing up for themselves and might need to understand that a little bit more. Yes, my mindset, energy is contagious. Energy is so contagious. Like it was serendipity for him to kind of just talk to you about that, especially if that's not even a social norm. That's not a thing to talk about.
Yeah, it's very surprising.
It's synchronicity, it's alignment, because you're showing up for yourself. And I love that you said that, because you show up for yourself, you show up for your students even better.
Yeah, it's the well again. Like, I have a lot in my well right now. And after the conversation with him, it was a long conversation, like almost an hour. I didn't think, oh, he's interrupting my morning pages, or, oh, I'm tired from this conversation. I was like, no, I have so much energy. Like, I'm glad he came to me. Like, like I feel closer through these connections, and like, it's all the little things adding up. My well is overflowing right now.
Absolutely. And that's why it is important. If anybody is struggling with the morning pages, it is so important for you to do the morning pages. It's important for us to check back in and do the artist dates, because it allows us to pour back into ourselves. It allows us to show up as a more fuller, like purposeful, optimistic, abundant person. And it's critical. It's critical that we just show up for ourselves and pour. Even if it's like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, which is what she talks about. And then we're gonna, we can wrap this up. But she talks about just 15 minutes. Let me get this exact page. I wrote it down. Do you guys know which section I'm talking about? And she was like, oh, it's just 10 minutes. All right. She said
112. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 112. She says, creative living requires the luxury of time, which we carve out for ourselves. Just like Gwendolyn just said, even if it's for 15 minutes for a quick morning pages and a 10-minute mini bath after work. Like, creative living requires, it requires the luxury of space for ourselves. I'm gonna just run that back real quick. Creative living requires the luxury of space for ourselves. Woo! That's saying luxury is time. And time is luxury, and it's time we give to ourselves. even if we
honestly, time is everything.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you can see. Yeah.
Yeah. So time, like for example, like so it was 5:30 that I woke up this morning because I thought I was 12 hours ahead. Turns out I'm 14 hours ahead. So I woke up at 5:30 this morning and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be ready by 7 a.m. for this meeting. And I was like, oh shit, it's not 7 a.m. But I had so much time. So I was like, okay, like I had so much time. I ate breakfast, I did morning pages, and I had energy because everything else was aligned. So I didn't feel like I was lacking sleep or anything because everything else was in place. So time, yeah, is everything. Yeah, I'm taking time right now to listen to this during a free period.
Yes, look at the time. Look what time does to us. Like, I don't even feel like 2 hours passed by. Like, it's just good energy. Does anybody else want to add anything that she talks about towards the end?
I'm going to keep track of my spending. I'm going to do the little exercise where she says, pocketbook, and just write down no matter what it is. Just write it down, no matter if it's small, big. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try. I know I'm going to keep track on my bank app, but I think it's just going to be different to actually have to write down after you spend something.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. So I just wanted to throw one thing out there. During my morning pages, I came up with this little like mantra, you have what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it. Think you have what you need. So maybe you don't need to buy that certain thing. Maybe you do need to buy it. Or you have the tools you need, use them. So maybe it's hard once you think, oh, I have what I need. I don't need to buy like a new pair of tights. I have ones I can wash. Or, oh, I don't need to buy that cup of coffee. Like I have coffee sitting in the cabinet. Or maybe you want to buy that nice coffee. So the more you pay attention to what you have, the things that, the money you have, the time that you have, the things that you have, are you taking care of those things? Are you treating money with respect? Are you treating time with respect? Are you treating the things you have with respect? Then you're like, okay, it's not a bother to write down each expense. Like I'm treating my money with respect. I'm treating this book that I'm writing in it with the respect. Like, okay, sorry.
I totally feel you. I agree so much. I really just, I think it's important for us to ask, like, what does having money look like? What does it look like? Does having money look like an abundance in time? Does having money look like having abundance in freedom? Just what does having money even look like? I get money, what I'm gonna look like, what I'm gonna do. Like, who am I gonna be? How am I gonna show up for myself? What type of things? How am I gonna be of service to myself and to other people around me? But just how am I going to be of service to myself? Because manifestation is just half the journey. The other action is just like, the other half is just action and just showing up and doing the things that we need to do and building the habits that rich, abundant people have in whatever ways that we deem fit. I did want to talk about, that was it, but I did want to wrap around to like some of the activities that she talks about, which I thought was really powerful. How she talks about natural abundance and like you can pick up flowers or like different leaves. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw out more clothes. I'm gonna donate more clothes because I just want to be very, very intentional with my closet. I'm stepping into 30. Stepping into 30, you feel me? So I'm just really excited. And I just want to be intentional. And I just want to think like, with my 30, 35 self, like, would she love this? Would she love it? Do I feel powerful and resilient and sexy and amazing? Like, do I feel that way or nah? I don't feel that way. So I'm just I want to just be a lot more intentional with what I spend money on and the clothes that I buy and how I show up. So what activity we doing? What other time? So I say, to me, I say yes, 30 and thriving. Yes, I'm excited.
I'm doing the clothes. I'm gonna do the clearing out the clothes too, and there's some other ones. Bake and
I like that
7.
one.
But for me, the clothes, because I want to start dressing like how I want to become.
Yeah.
And not just wearing t-shirts. Like I love sweatsuits. I love t-shirts and jeans. Nothing wrong with that. But I also still want to have, when I go out, I want to just dress the way I want to see myself become.
Right.
I'm tossing out clothes that I've had for 2-3 years and, being afraid to buy stuff. And it's like, no, when you get rid of that stuff, you're making space for the clothes that you want to have. So
I needed this reminder. Yes, I needed that.
Yes.
My closet got some old stuff in there. I don't never want to throw nothing away. I just keep adding stuff. Then I realized just because it fits me for 5 years straight doesn't mean I still need to have it in my closet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For 10 years.
Exactly.
So I'm like, for some stuff, it's just, gotta just part. It's like if I haven't worn it, it's remembering, like donating it is literally telling the universe that I'm open for more. Right. And that's what I want, more, better, like certain what my future self is going to look like. I'm trying to, like you said, build that outfit out. So it's like, if you want to get dressed like that, boom, you can. It's not, oh, I wish I did have this. Like, no, you got to buy blazers if that's what you want. I started getting blazers from the Goodwill, just key out there. They got some really good ones.
They do.
Ain't nothing wrong with no thrift store, girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ain't nothing wrong.
Those pieces tell a story sometimes.
Right. That's so true. Thrifty pieces tell a story.
Yeah. And when you donate too, you give back to other people. It's from a place of abundance.
I'll make it.
Wow, bring it home.
Making it work however you can make it work.
She brought it right home. Parked it. She parked it. Yes. How else what other activities are we doing that she brought up in the book that was really powerful to y'all?
I think it was when she said say yes to freebies. I think that's one thing I'm definitely going to start doing, because I just say no so much. And I'm like, half the time I don't even think about it. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't have time for that. But like, even joining this book club, like I saw that via Twitter and I was like, oh, I'm reading this book right now. Let me come in here and just like, let me just try it. Let me not say no for once. Like actually take, it wasn't like a free, it doesn't have anything to do with money, but like even opportunities, like let's start saying yes to those things. So that's one thing I'm going to start practicing a bit more.
I love that. You got me thinking about things I could start saying yes to.
Yeah, I'm gonna send the postcards out because I moved away from all my, so I think it would hit them even more if they're getting a postcard from me randomly, and I think it would make me feel good too. So I'm gonna do the postcard, send it to my 5 friends, and hit them with. I might want to send them something too, just to, I love them all. But I thought I was like, oh, I haven't sent anybody.
Oh, I think you muted yourself.
She stayed doing that.
Maya, you start going in and then I could tell you do something with your thumb and mute yourself. Yes, Lisa, what you doing? What activity you doing?
I like the baking one. I like the way she described it, because I don't really know like what my creative self looks like, or it looks like a lot different than what everyone else talks about. So I'm gonna start that and like bake something and just learn my flavors, because I'm not good in that department.
Wait, can I share one thing?
Yeah.
I think I accidentally already did this stuff. So
wait, everything?
Like by pure serendipity. Some of them, 2 of them. One was natural abundance. So I was walking from work. I was like, fuck it, I'm taking an hour off of work. I'm gonna enjoy the weather, enjoy this walk. And along the walk, I didn't pick flowers. So I found flowers that were already off the branch. Like, so this is someone had like, I guess there was a dropped dried carnation on the ground. So I didn't want to pick things. I didn't want to do damage to the plant. I don't know, I guess. And so I found a dropped camellia. And right now, almost in Japan is sakura season, cherry blossom season. And I saw some cherry blossom trees and I picked the dropped ones.
Oh.
Yeah, so I have
What are you going to do with them?
The dried one is great. Like, I think I'll press the little smushed cherry blossom ones. The Daphne, unfortunately, smells amazing. Like these Daphne bushes. I don't know if you can see them. They're kind of ugly now. But like, I put them in a box right now, actually. I have this from the 100, so it's a dollar store. There's this like little shoebox looking thing. and I put them in the shoebox for now.
Wow. Your outfit is so
oh, thanks.
It's very positive. It's
adorable.
Yeah, I was feeling it today, and at first I was so nervous to wear this. I was so nervous to wear this outfit. Because I'm a teacher. I'm like, oh no, like I look fat, I'm back fat, my boobs look big, and I'm like, no, like my students would love that. I work at mostly girls' school, and they have a fashion department in this school too, and I'm like, no, my students would love to see me wearing something bright. Yeah. And I can hear them saying like, oh, cute, and I'm like, yeah, I'll show up for them doing this too. It's awesome. As much for them as it is for me. Oh, my nails too, cherry blossom nails.
Oh, wow, it's a flex for me.
Yes.
What a flex.
So cute.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that was amazing. That was so amazing. I do have to wrap up. This was so abundant. Week 6 was amazing, guys. Let's look at week 7. This entire chapter, I say pick an activity to do, focus on that, stay intentional with our morning, stay intentional with our day, keep the artist dates going and flowing. If you are struggling with it, just start off with a little bit more self-care, and then just add how you could be creative with self-care. And so week 7 is recovering a sense of connection. Guys, we are on week 7.
Listen, I'm already getting smacked in the face. It's the first thing says listening. I'm like, dang.
Yes, listen. Oh, I can already see. Oh, let me close it, because she's about to drag us. So, but I love that the book just gives us life. I say drag often, but she more so just gives us life. Every time I post it anywhere, people are just like, what book is this? I'm like, it's The Artist Way. It is gospel for the soul. It is just like a warm blanket or a warm cup of tea for our inner child. Like, someone said I turned the page and it said perfectionism.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, this book will go like this time. Yes, okay. So
Yes.
Right, look, my hair already laid on. I'm barely trying to keep the edges that I have. Try it, sis.
Yes.
I don't see it. Your hair's not a mess. I don't see it. I'll leave it.
No, Gwendolyn, thank you. It's not a mess. I'm just saying I gelled my I'm trying to keep them,
you don't gotta control your hair. I mean, if your hair wants to do that, yeah. But it looks beautiful.
I know. I feel like we're all just afraid, Gwendolyn, of like this woman snatching our edges. You know, like I need to put some witness protection program because
right.
Because
the second she got to luxury today, she was like, dude. I said, Jesus. She rude.
Like getting a wax done. Snap.
Literally.
Yeah, so this book is so great. I'm glad that you guys share the same sentiments as I do. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you everyone for coming through. I'm gonna close out with a nice little song that make me feel like I got a whole lot of money. And I think if you're from New York, you might appreciate it.
Oh, baby.
Hey, boy.
Look at this.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you. I'll see y'all next week. See y'all on Tuesdays with it.
Plus the Uncle C, you'll be DOA. Your mom will say, shit.